I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule.
Yeah, they do.
Hold three. The moss-covered, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Welcoming you to a very special edition episode of the RCWR Show exclusively to our YouTube subscribers, our YouTube audience. Welcome, guys and gals. This is the Black Avenger, aka Lee Sanders, here on December 31st, 2012. It is 11:09 p.m. on the East Coast. We are just 50 minutes away from bringing in the new year. Hopefully, wherever you all are, that is, if you all are not out amongst folks partying, getting your drink on, getting ready to celebrate the new year with family and friends, hopefully you are kicking back at home. You are watching the specials on NBC, ABC, all the major networks, watching that ball drop. Not a bad place to be, quite honestly, as it's really crazy out there. Hey, we're covering the fallout from tonight's WWE Raw, as it was the final Raw episode of the year 2012, and a lot of key angles were really pushed on tonight's episode to really give you a taste to come of what most will no doubt be the main focuses on WWE creative going forward, as we really had got the impression of who all was going to be pushed in the first quarter of 2013. A lot of key funny moments, important moments on tonight's episode, but one of the ones that really just struck out at me the most, and I want to just get all the silliness out the way, is that poor segment with Mae Young. I can't believe that WWE Creative had the audacity to come up with the lame-ass angle that they did tonight. Now, for those of you that were not able to check out the episode, it was taped over the weekend as Raw had came through the Washington, D.C. area at the Verizon Center. Great crowd, always love it when WWE comes through the D.C. area. True story, originally myself and my girlfriend, we were supposed to go to the Raw event, and we had already pre-recorded Saturday's episode of the RCWR show on blogtalkradio.com so that we could make our preparations ahead of time, leaving out the door, go to the event. And I actually ended up having a phone conversation with a good buddy of mine I hadn't talked to in a little while, and he was telling me how he had came down on hard times. And unfortunately, it was just so bad, so heartbreaking hearing the story. I actually had ended up giving him, me and my girlfriend's tickets, and I told him, why not take your son, go out to the event, it's on us, have fun. And he tried to offer to pay me back. I said, just consider it a Christmas gift, don't worry about it. And I just thought I'd mention that because originally I was set to go, and if it would have been a case where I would have been able to instead do a live episode of the RCWR show, I would have, as it had actually turned out there were several of you that were expecting me to be at the event since we happened to do the show live from the nation's capital. So any bit of a miscommunication right there, a little problem. I do apologize about that. But really great crowd as always when WWE comes through the DC area. And again, the poorest segment of the night, Mae Young being pregnant again. And I automatically just had flashbacks to 2000 when Mae Young had gave birth to that hand, as the baby daddy was none other than the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. So you could just imagine what was going on in my mind when I'm seeing this segment. And I'm saying to myself, no, not again. Please tell me history is not repeating itself. Why are we going down this path? It is a segment of which many WWE fans would like to not think about. And just very traumatic this segment was. Now, it turns out Mae Young gave birth you would think maybe to the other hand so that she has somewhat of a matching pair of gloves or something like that. That wasn't even the case. Instead, she gives birth to, get this folks, Hornswoggle. Yes, Hornswoggle, full beard and all, wearing a New Year's Eve hat, ribbon around his waist, wearing diapers, and he is put onto the lap of Mae Young, and he's given a milk bottle, and he is just sucking away at that. WTF here, guys. You see that bad enough that people that have dwarf size problems get enough of a bad rep as it is, as you got those core audiences out there of adults who just treat people that are 4 feet tall shorter like, they act like jerks to them. But here we have that ammunition that's really needed just to insult people that are highly at a disadvantage, if you will. And I couldn't wait for this segment to be over with. It was a segment that a lot of you, and we were taking the time out to see what some of you guys and gals were saying on Twitter tonight. And with that episode itself, let's go with Kelvin on Twitter. He said, first, Mae Young gives birth to a hand. I wonder what she's going to give birth to this time around. Then once he saw what had happened, ... no comment. Peter, he had this to say, my mind can't unsee that. I hate you, WWE Raw. Beyond stupid. Let's go to No Tan Fight Fan. He said, hey look, Zack Ryder is on Raw. Guess getting over isn't important to management. Stupid segment. Didn't even smile. One more for you. For that segment, the Shields should have came out and attacked Hornswoggle and the WWE writers for that injustice. That came from Cameron. So that really gives you an idea of what some of the people here really felt about that segment. It was truly a very, very stupid segment. And I must admit, man, other than that, Raw was actually fairly decent of the night. I actually had no problem with it whatsoever. But just that segment right there, I'm just saying to myself, okay, we've taken a step backwards. Obviously, did we not learn anything from the early 2000s? But I was really glad that that segment was just over and done with. And I just thought I would just get that out the way for you guys, because everything else that I want to talk about on Raw tonight was actually fairly pretty decent. One of the things that was on a lot of people's minds for tonight's episode of Raw, folks that have been wondering for the past couple of weeks now, is what is going on with the WWE Champion CM Punk? Is his injury actually legit? What is going on right here? And CM Punk, he actually flew in from Chicago, his own personal doctor, to help explain to the WWE Universe just what exactly was going on with his knee, if it was actually legit. Now, here's the 411 for you guys on that. Now, the doctor, he showed a image on the Titantron of what a healthy knee looks like. Then he shows an image of the current state of CM Punk's knee. And CM Punk's knee just looks really messed up. He has intense swelling that is going on right now. And CM Punk, he thanks the doctor for really taking the time out to explain it to the WWE Universe, even though he really didn't have to. And CM Punk mentioning how he has been one hell of an impressive WWE champion for 400 plus days. And he recollects how there were several people that he has defeated in his 400 plus days as the current WWE champion. He took on the likes of Chris Jericho, Alberto Del Rio, Daniel Bryan, John Cena a few times. Had worked things out with Ryback there. A couple of other guys that he took on, but all of these men he faced within the span of 400 plus days, and you knew sooner or later he was going to have to deal with some type of a major injury. And he pointed out that, in his career, there's been some injuries that he's had that has really been much worse, and he's been able to compete, do whatever he needs to do. But this was something he had never experienced before. But he said one leg, one arm, one eye, it doesn't matter. He can beat Ryback. And he actually went on record saying he was looking forward to facing Ryback next week on Raw for the WWE Championship contested inside of a TLC match. Now, the doctor at this point, he actually cut CM Punk off and said, honestly, I cannot recommend that you have this match against Ryback next week. And we hear CM Punk say, well, wait a minute, you just said that you could recommend me to have this match against Ryback next week. And the doctor said, yes, I'm well aware of that, but I'm just really thinking about it, and I just can't take the risk of putting you in a position where you could risk further insult to injury to that knee. Just when we think this segment is over, we actually got an appearance, a rare appearance at that, from the WWE chairman, Big Daddy Vincent Kennedy McMahon, as he explained to the WWE champion and Paul Heyman that unless WWE officials are able to evaluate that knee, only they will be able to give the final verdict on whether or not CM Punk will be able to compete next week against Ryback. We see CM Punk, he feels as though Vince McMahon is operating just like those in the WWE universe, and he's not showing him the proper respect that he deserves. And we see Vince McMahon actually go on record and say, honestly, I do respect you. I expect the fact that you've been a WWE champion for as long as you have. Although within recent weeks, many would question your reign as champion. Some would question whether or not you actually hired Brad Maddox to interfere in your match at Hell in a Cell. Some wonder if you might be the mastermind behind the Shield attacking Ryback at the Survivor Series pay-per-view. And we see Paul Heyman, he tries to jump in, bashing the WWE chairman, telling him that you are worse than your father. Your father was a very good businessman. He was a man that I had grew up with. And quite honestly, to see you operate the way that you are operating right now, you are nothing more than a tasteless, classless self-promoter. And this actually had prompted the WWE chairman to say to CM Punk, hey, if the WWE officials are able to evaluate you, and you're able to have your match next week, then it's going to be you versus Ryback. However, if you're not able to compete, then obviously we're going to need to have somebody go in your place to take on Ryback. And that person is going to be none other, folks, than Paul Heyman. So either way, Ryback is going to get his hands on somebody next week. WWE Champion or Paul Heyman. So the tone is set right there. Let's talk about some of the matches that had came about on tonight's Raw. We had got to see Antonio Cesaro in action, and I should let you guys know that a new concept WWE had created here tonight, as it was the Champion's Choice Night. That's right, their own little alternate version there to TNA's Championship Thursday night. That's right, now all the champions here, the way this works, they get to call out anybody to have a match with. That's right, they get to choose who they want to face. So in the case of Antonio Cesaro, who cut a really solid promo saying how he was visiting the nation's capital and he had took a trip to the Pentagon area, how there was a lot of beautiful sights, but there was a person that he had bumped into that he felt really spoke that of the country, that really is all about America, the true red, white, and blue. And I know what some of you guys are thinking, the Patriot, Bob Backlund, or how about the immortal Hulk Hogan? No, none of those. Actually, he brought out Sergeant Slaughter. That's the guy that he was talking about, who he challenged to a match for his United States title. Once again, impressive outing right here by the United States champion as he was able to pick up the win over Sergeant Slaughter. For those of you wondering how Sergeant Slaughter's head is looking nowadays, he's keeping it clean, shavely bald. Nice little look he's got going on right there. Also in action, we had saw John Cena and The Miz team up, and they had scored an impressive win over Team Cody Rhodes. That's right. Now, this had resulted on a segment of Miz TV where The Miz, he was interviewing John Cena, and he really got to the heart of the matter, something that a lot of WWE fans had been wondering for the past couple of weeks, ever since AJ screwed Cena out of his TLC match for that Money in the Bank briefcase held by Dolph Ziggler. Hey, how do you feel with what all has been going down between you and AJ? And John Cena, he wouldn't speak on it. He felt that what is done is done. Everything is in the past. But we see Miz really dip into Cena here. He really digged in him, saying, okay, well, if that's the case, then why haven't you accepted AJ Lee and Dolph Ziggler's RSVP to their New Year's toast celebration that's going to be coming later in the night? And John Cena says, well, you know, I've been giving that a little bit of thought, and actually, I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to accept it. I will be popping up. From there, we saw Team Rhodes Scholars. They interrupted, and we see John Cena. He cut one funny promo on them saying, as Robert Griffin III would say, you two guys, you suck. And we see the whole WWE universe actually, probably one of the best, loudest pops of the night. They actually chanted RG3. And this made Damian Sandow go, sir, I have no idea who that is. He knows damn well he knows exactly who RG3 is. But we see Damian Sandow, he was about to put a proposition out there of his own, but Cena cut him off to say, you know what, why don't we just go at it in the ring right now, tag match 2-on-2, let's have at it. And again, impressive tag team match right here as John Cena and The Miz picked up the victory over Team Rhodes Scholars. In a backstage segment, we had saw Kane and Daniel Bryan. They were a little bit peed off because they were not able to get their hands on the Shield. As it turned out, the Shield would be taking on Ryback in a handicap match. Now, this was set up by the acting Raw supervising manager, Vicky Guerrero. So Team Hell No, they're trying to figure out who they're going to take on next. They actually had picked the three-man band. They had saw the guys rehearsing, and they looked at one another. They liked the idea of taking them on. So there it was. Issue was challenged and accepted. Team Hell No's Kane and Daniel Bryan, they defeated Drew McIntyre and Heath Slater of the three-man band. In our next match, we had Dolph Ziggler in action as Vicky Guerrero using her powers right here. What did we tell you guys over the weekend on the RCWR Show Weekend Edition? We told you guys, don't be too surprised now that Vicky Guerrero is officially done with Dolph Ziggler. Don't be too surprised if she might start using her power to put him in certain type of matches to try to basically screw him over. And this was one of those cases right here where Dolph Ziggler was in a match against the Great White Sheamus. But see, the real question going into this match was, okay, what type of role is Big E Langston going to play in this, as he did come along with AJ Lee at ringside, and he's just quietly, calmly, just watching with that minister bulk presence of his. You're just wondering what type of role is he going to play into this match, if any. Pick it up, critical point in this bout. Final few seconds of the match, we actually saw Sheamus connect with the White Noise, and he was tuning up the band. He was getting ready to deliver that devastating bro kick for the W, when all of a sudden we see Big E Langston. He grabs his leg, and we see Sheamus. He's just distracted from then on out. He is fixated on Langston. We see Dolph Ziggler. He tries to attack Sheamus from behind, try to connect with that zigzag, just the way he did it on SmackDown this past Friday night against The Miz. But Sheamus being just too strong of a man and holding on to those ropes, he actually had flipped Dolph Ziggler off of his shoulder. Dolph Ziggler, for the second week in a row here, goes flying outside the ring, but into the arms of Big E Langston. I guess on WWE Creative's part, it was so good seeing Dolph Ziggler fly out the ring and go into the arms of Big E Langston on Friday Night SmackDown that they had to do it again. They had to try to recreate that magic, so they did it again. This one was pretty good too. But again, we see Big E Langston, who's just standing there now as Dolph Ziggler is trying to recuperate. Sheamus wants him to come into the ring, and we actually see Big E Langston. He comes as far as to jump on top of the apron, and these two are looking at one another. Looks like this match is going to happen. When all of a sudden, we see the Shields, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. They come from out of nowhere, and they attack Sheamus, and they leave him laying on his back after connecting with a triple power bomb that just had him out cold in the middle of the ring. Let's move on, folks. You know, there was a very interesting New Year's Eve party that was happening amongst the WWE roster. And one of those people that was there, that was kind of a little bit of buzzkill, was none other than Eve, who was trying to figure out who she was going to be facing for her Divas title tonight. Now, originally, it was supposed to be Mae Young. And I'm sure, like many of you, I know I was over here as I was watching it on my screen. I was saying, no, she's too old. She can't do this. Let's see something else happen. And as I said, it turns out she was pregnant, yada, yada, yada. But we did see Eve go out to the ring, and she tried to proclaim herself to be the victor, that she had beat a WWE Hall of Famer. She actually wanted the referee to officially announce her as the winner. But we saw Caitlyn get involved as she came on down. This wasn't even a match. The two of them, they just brawled for a little bit, going back and forth. Probably one of the weakest segments of the night, besides the revelation that Mae Young was pregnant with Hornswoggle. Wasn't really well received, this match right here, or this encounter between Eve and Caitlyn, as a lot of people, they just wanted for this segment to end. You could really pick that up, but you know, I must say I have been very intrigued into what's been happening here with Eve and Caitlyn. Very nice to see that they're trying to continue this storyline right where they had left off a couple of weeks ago. You know, we had got a World Heavyweight Championship match, folks, as the Big Show challenged Ricardo Rodriguez. Now, for those of you that had watched WWE SmackDown on Friday night, you all know that Big Show had knocked out Ricardo. Well, since it's Champion's Choice night, Big Show trying to go for an easy W tonight. He picked Ricardo Rodriguez to face, and when Alberto Del Rio had got word of this, he was pretty upset for his employee, and we actually really saw the turning of a babyface Del Rio right here, as Del Rio told Ricardo that, hey, you know, I've treated you like dirt for so long. You're not just one of my employees. I do kind of look at you as a friend, and really, I'm sorry for the way I've treated you. You just don't deserve to be treated like that, period, from anybody, let alone me. I'm going to be rooting you on tonight, and hey, if you're going to go out there, you're going to have this match, and you're going to become a future World Heavyweight Champion, you got to do it in style. And we see Del Rio give Ricardo a pair of his keys to whatever car he's pushing for the night, and we also see him give Ricardo his scarf. And again, it was Big Show taking on Ricardo Rodriguez for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Big Show was just having his way with Ricardo for the 3-4 minutes that this match was happening, and Alberto Del Rio, frustrated at that, he really just had enough of this, and he just decided that he was going to come to the aid of his little buddy. And we actually saw Del Rio attack Big Show, hit him with a super kick, grabbed his buddy, and they went towards the back. Looks like we're now able to see possibly the next feud that's going to be happening for the Big Show. Looks like at this point, Maybe Big Show is going to be taking on Del Rio for the World Heavyweight title at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, or maybe, just maybe, it's going to be a triple threat match between Big Show, Sheamus, Del Rio. Who knows right here? Weird combinations that we've been seeing in the past couple of episodes within recent weeks here. Let's talk about the WWE Intercontinental Championship match. Now, a lot of people, they have found out the results from this, as again, Raw was taped from the nation's capital this past Saturday. And WWE, unfortunately, they realized that news had spread it like wildfire, so they had announced it on their website. Something of which I wish that they didn't do, but we had saw Wade Barrett become the new Intercontinental Champion. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I definitely want to pick your brains on that. So for those of you that's checking this out on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about Wade Barrett going over Kofi Kingston. It just seemed like they were really starting to get behind Kofi Kingston here, trying to really take him up to that next level, and then Wade Barrett just comes from out of nowhere. And I mean, Wade Barrett just cleanly defeated Kofi Kingston. There was no doubt about that. There was no cheap tactics, nothing like that. We saw Wade Barrett. He was able to connect with that bull hammer clothesline and that, or elbow strike, and that was pretty much it. This match was in the books. But again, out of all the matches for tonight's Raw, this one was actually one of the most impressive. You know Kofi style, you know how high flying it is. It was really a nice match right here. I don't want to just leave it at nice, but you just take that style of a high flyer such as Kofi Kingston, how agile he is in that ring. I mean, he moves like a cat. I mean, he is just so freaking flexible, just so freaking good, and you just pair him up with that nasty style of a brawler in Wade Barrett, and it really did live up to the hype. It was a really good match you could get behind. One of the matches that I can't help but still think about is the match between Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus, where we had saw the Shield attack Sheamus, and I just thought it was so peculiar right there that we could have seen Big E Langston attack Sheamus, but instead the Shield does it. I can't really help but wonder if Big E Langston might be involved at a certain extent with the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Who knows? We're going to need a little bit more information in the upcoming weeks from future episodes of Raw, but I just love the little hint right there. But in the meantime, once again, numbers game piling up on Sheamus right here, who tried to come to the aid of Ryback. And the Shield, they're just having their way with both of these guys. But wait, the numbers get evened up as we see the return of the Viper, Randy Orton. As remember, he was out on injury for a couple of weeks as he dislocated his shoulder. He's coming to the aid and he attacks the Shield, evens it up. As we see Ryback, Sheamus, Randy Orton, they're bringing the fight to the Shield. And for the first time since we have seen the Shield in WWE, they actually backed down and they backed out. They got out of that ring rather quickly. But you can't help but wonder right there if that might be a future match that we'll be seeing at the Royal Rumble. I don't know about you all, but personally, I am all for seeing Ryback teaming up with Sheamus and Randy Orton to take on the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Let Alberto Del Rio be wide open to take on Big Show. I personally wouldn't mind seeing that, but let's hear from you guys. Share those comments when you're able to. All right, and of course, the main attraction of the night for tonight's episode of Raw, it was the Dolph Ziggler AJ Lee Toast to the New Year. And we just see Dolph Ziggler bashing the WWE Universe, telling them how they are the ones that had picked John Cena to win the Slammy Award for Superstar of the Year. And Dolph Ziggler quickly reminds them just how bad of a year it has been for John Cena. Something that we were talking about long before they even showed the highlight reels that they showed tonight. John Cena losing to The Rock at WrestleMania. Then the very next night on WrestleMania, we see John Cena getting F5 by Brock Lesnar. You follow that up to Big Show costing John Cena the match at the Over the Limit pay-per-view against John Laurinaitis. Let's not forget Raw 1000, where John Cena had became the first person to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase unsuccessfully and lose, as once again Big Show interfered in that. Then let's not forget about the match that had happened at TLC. John Cena just been having one bad of a funk this calendar year, as Dolph Ziggler says that his time is now. John Cena is a thing of the past. It's really time for him to get with the times, still pushing the same clothes that he's been pushing since pretty much he debuted. Well, you knew this was not going to go without being rebutted, and we did see the C Nation leader come on out, and he told Dolph Ziggler that yes, he has been wearing those same type of clothing for maybe the past 10 years, but it's because he still believes in the words hustle, loyalty, and respect, and that he will probably be buried in that because he looks at what he wears as a uniform of sorts. He also takes personal jabs at Dolph Ziggler for crying and whining to everybody in the backstage area, saying that he is so good, he's so talented, he just needs to get the opportunity. And look at the comparison right here, as John Cena really brought it home. He says, you know what, I've been in the WWE now for 10 years. This is probably the first year that I can recollect Dolph Ziggler where I've had an off season, and honestly, everybody is entitled to an off season. Here you are, you have been in the WWE, Dolph Ziggler, for 7 years, and what have you really accomplished, Dolph Ziggler? Honestly, not a damn thing, as John Cena passionately brings up how at one point, Dolph Ziggler used to be a cheerleader. He used to have brown hair. He used to have white hair. He used to have blonde hair. He did have a big girlfriend. Now he's got a small girlfriend. Now he has a big black bodyguard. Just mentioning all the changes, all the different incarnations of Dolph Ziggler that has come about, as John Cena basically just calls Dolph Ziggler for what he thinks he is really, and that is nothing more than a coward. And we see John Cena, he gives a toast to AJ and Dolph Ziggler, saying to them he really wishes them the best in the upcoming new year, but also adds that Dolph Ziggler doesn't have a pair of nuts, that he has to go to the concession stands to get them, as he pours onto them a big old pile of, hopefully it was horse manure, or maybe it was who knows what, I don't know, but I'm just going to go with horse manure, as it was poured all over Dolph Ziggler, AJ Lee. Some funny stuff right here to close out this respected episode of WWE Raw. You know, my main takeaways from Raw tonight, I can't help but think about the strong continuation push that they are doing with Dolph Ziggler, as now they are really starting to bring it full circle about just what does the future hold for him. When exactly is he going to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase? Because now it's been put out there. Now you have it out there that Dolph Ziggler is probably scared to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase. I love that envelope that's being pushed right there, and I can't wait to see just what is going to happen weeks going into the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I love that we have the Shield back in full effect. It looks like they have a perfect program here that is set up to be taking on Sheamus, Randy Orton there, and let's not forget Ryback. Great little moment right there. Maybe this could be done in a way where for once Ryback can pick up a W at a pay-per-view, as remember, past few, he has lost to some shape or form. Some people will argue that, but hey, when I think about it, he's lost a couple of pay-per-views there back to back to back. But let's talk about what's going to be happening on Raw next week, as now all eyes are set on that. As I'm sure a lot of you are eagerly anticipating Raw next week. We're going to have the return of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You can't help but wonder just what type of an impact he's going to be having in possibly the CM Punk versus Ryback match, or heck, maybe the Ryback versus Paul Heyman. You can't really help but wonder what's going to be happening with that. How's he going to be interacting with the WWE Universe? But it should also be pointed out, this is going to be the first live Raw within recent weeks. I don't know about you guys, but I actually miss Raw being live, so a lot to look forward to right there. Hey, real quickly, before we forget, I want to let you guys know that we'll be doing a Tuesday night wrestling edition of the RCWR show, which you'll be able to catch, even though it's New Year's Day. You'll be able to catch it as regular time of 11 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com, where we're going to cover in more detail key specific parts of Raw tonight. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what exactly can WWE or should WWE do with The Rock leading up into next Monday's Raw. I'll give you some honest thoughts on that. I'll also have the final verdict of the Extreme Rising pay-per-view. I had downloaded it. I actually have it on my desktop right now. I will be watching it tonight. I will give you the final verdict on this pay-per-view that's been generating a lot of buzz in a good way, where the first ever crowned Extreme Rising champion was none other than Stevie Richards, as he defeated Rhino. I'll give you the 411 on that, let you guys know if this pay-per-view event was a pass or a fail. And we'll also hook you up with the very latest in wrestling-related news. Quick programming note, on January 7th, that's basically next Monday coming up, we're going to be making a very special appearance on Monday, immediately after Raw. It's going to be the RCWR post show. It's going to come on after Raw, 11 p.m. Eastern promptly. And I'm going to have a very special guest with me. Y'all may remember him. He is Diamond K. He used to be the correspondent for Pro Wrestling Report's Monday Night Meltdown. He also used to be the co-host for Sudden Impact Radio with Meathead, covering all the very latest in TNA Impact Wrestling. He's going to be joining me for the special episode. We're going to talk about how WWE utilized The Rock, what worked, what didn't. We'll also talk about Royal Rumble, and it's going to be a very nice back and forth session. You're going to love that. Highly encourage you to check that out, as you'll be able to interact with us. We'll have the phone lines open. You'll be able to interact with us in the chat room, Twitter, Facebook, the works. Also, Raw will be having their 20th anniversary special on January 14th. And we'll be making a Monday night appearance on that night as well, immediately after that episode. So make sure you join us for that. It'll be another episode where we'll have the phone lines opened again. So again, mark it on your calendars, because it's not every day that we make a Monday night appearance. January 7th and the 14th. Special times on Mondays. We're going to be coming on at 11 p.m. for just those two specific days, and then we'll go back to our regular day, Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. If you like the way that we had covered tonight's episode of Raw, hey, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out. And be sure to share those comments down below. If you saw Raw, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like about Raw, and we'll definitely follow up on it and share you all's reactions on the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show coming up January 1st at 11 p.m. Eastern. And hey, subscribe to us in the iTunes Zune marketplaces. This has been the RCWR show, and I am, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. Y'all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you this Tuesday night. Everybody, take care.